All right. Okay, hi, it's me and Corbin. Say hi, buddy. Say hi, people. Let me think about it. Just going to think about it. I'll get back to you. He's a deep thinker, this guy. Okay, hi, everybody. Welcome to today's stream. I got some fun stuff going on here. And some of the fun stuff. Tell us about the fun stuff, Chris. Boy, I'm glad you asked me that. Yesterday, I spent the day doing a breakdown of an idea, and I showed it from 4 separate perspectives. The one that's on the screen right now is the... It's reverse. Anyways, the one that's on the screen right now is the first of 4 different interpretations of the same idea. I'm going to take us through it again, but we're going to go a completely different direction today than the silly fun that today's was. Hiya, Barbara. Welcome aboard. Good to see you today. Okay, so I'm going to put up the suggestion. I don't know how to describe it. Brace yourself for how slow I type. Oh yeah, that basic. All right, so here's our suggestion for today and yesterday as well. And so what I did is, this is the first interpretation of an idea. And so using the suggestion of, I don't know how to describe it, but I'll know it when I see it, I did this page, which is a guy who's clearly a hoarder, and his friend has come over to his space in order to try to help him find whatever this thing is that he needs so they can go out and do whatever it is that they want to go and do. And so when his friend says, can you describe it to me? And he says, look, he doesn't even know really what he's looking for. He says, look, I don't know how to describe it, but I'll know it when I see it. And of course, the joke, because there's nothing better than explaining a joke, Corbin. The joke is the first thing he holds up. That's it. Let's go. Yep, there we go. So this was our first interpretation of this idea. Now, I'm going to switch cameras and turn on the overhead. No. So what we've got is, this is what we did in the first part of yesterday's video, is that we took this idea of, I don't know how to describe it, but I'll know it when I see it. And let's get cool. Look at this guy. Look at him chillaxing. Kind of lazy, buddy. Not really. You're doing your job. Oh, that's okay. That's better. Now he's looking cute. Can't be mad at him. Can't be mad at him. All right. So basically, what we did is we laid out this idea in 4 different directions. So I took the same premise of I don't know how to describe it, but I'll know it when I see it. And I broke it down in 4 different ways. And I also tried 4 separate approaches for how we would lay the page out. And I think that by evaluating any suggestion or any idea that comes your way in this sort of, this sort of expeditious way where you just start flying information down on the paper. So I broke the paper out in the quadrants, right? 4 completely unequal squares of paper here. And what I did was, the first idea I had was guy sitting in a chair at a talk show, and he's talking to the person across from him, and the interviewer, of course, is, what can you describe it to us? And he says, well, I don't know how to describe it, but I'll know it when I see it, and so he starts approaching describing the events that happened to him. But then when it comes to describing the thing that was in the situation at hand, he can't do it. So that's our first approach, right? So that's That's attempt one, you know, and okay, we could frame it around UFOs. Why not? Barbara says, I don't know how to describe it, but I'll know it when I see it. Wow, that's the story of my life. First off, that's hilarious. Secondly, I'm really proud you typed that all. Yes, I found that a little laborious a moment ago to type all of that. You know, he did nothing for me. This guy here, he didn't help at all. He didn't help me type anything. Anyways, so, okay, so the second idea that we broke out is this one over here in the top right. And so this one is we've got two random FBI guys showing up at this lady's door, and you know, we're arresting you because of you know, she's posed threats, let's say, to you know, the mayor of this small town or whatever, that she's going to blow up the I don't know, the grain mill, right? So you're going to have to come with us, ma'am, for placing terroristic threats. And what kind of bomb are we looking for here, Bob? Would be this. So the parts here that I've left open is, what kind of bomb are we looking for here? And it's, I don't know how to describe it. Well, no, but I'll know it when I see it. You know, and of course the funny joke of that is that, you know, you could make a bomb that there's no subtlety to it at all. It's just, you know, it's either the biggest bomb you've ever seen, or you can fill her entire barn with different bombs. We don't know which one she was going to use. Whatever it is. You close enough? He's become an attention hog. Anyhow, so this is, and it ends with them taking her off to jail. And Barbara says, typing I can do. Art is a whole other matter. I don't believe that. I believe that you can do some art. Okay, so our third page idea that we came up with the same suggestion is the hoarder image, and the guy with too much stuff in his apartment. He's trying to figure out he needs this item, and he doesn't know how to describe it, but I'll know when he sees it. And so this is the original art for that page that I rough scribbled during the stream at the end. And so what yesterday's intention was to show people how to just rough out some thoughts and ideas and some potential layouts on pieces of paper, different approaches to the same story conceit. If you're not working from a script, if you're just generating an idea and running from it, or just taking a quote, or just taking a random sentence you've heard that's stuck in your head, just break it out. And so this page, or this breakdown became this page. And we utilized some of the aesthetics that we decided upon, which was open panel, where things are moving out beyond the confines of the panel. We had an enclosing panel where there's a negative space application for a number of the objects that we already showcased in the previous panel. You know, and then we've got a reversal shot as he's talking to his friend. We see the friend looking over his shoulder. So to be responsible with the camera work, we continued his back facing the other person in the next panel, but focusing on their perspective. So we've now turned the camera completely around. I call it the camera, but what I'm really talking about is the perspective of the frame of reference. And so then we move back around that circle again to him saying, look, okay, I have a system. Just get off my back. And it's kind of like this big. It's like that big. And immediately the person finds the teddy bear. So whether it was actually the teddy bear or not, and of course the last panel is a return to this idea, but more extremely so, because he's going, yes! And in that confined space, he's of course knocked over two piles of stuff. So who knows if they're ever going to get out of the house, they might have to clean everything. Okay, so that was our third approach, or the first one that we've done here together in the stream, because I think it's a fun idea to explore these four different approaches to it and talk through some of the different storytelling elements about when to have, you know, when can we use these kinds of different panels. Because I still have gutters between these shapes. We're going to get more complex with each page. So as we see the final one, of course, is man walks into a room and he's, you know, what the heck am I here for? And, he's looking around still, I don't remember when I, came in. And a couple of panels of that looking in different directions in order to showcase the disorientation of our principal character. And then his wife comes in. At least in my head, it's his wife. And she's, holding a dish rag like she was doing the dishes or something like that. Or she was, I don't know, doing something. Anyhow. And she says, what are you looking for? And he says, I don't know how to describe it, but I'll know it when I see it. She says, okay, so you mean you forgot what you're looking for? And she leaves the room. And he goes, why can't I remember? And hits the bookshelf behind him, and the object falls off the bookshelf onto the floor, and he goes, yes! As though that was what he's looking for the whole time. So there's 4 different approaches to the same idea. And this is, we're going to pick one of the other remaining 3. I actually, you know what? I kind of do want to, let's pick, people can choose between one of these 2 today. And so people are, encouraged to vote for top or bottom. And while you're doing that, I have a special treat for you because I like you guys so much. And so does Corbin. Don't you, pal? Eh? Yeah, he does. Yeah. Okay, here's Corbin's new video. Boy, he works hard on these. Okay, so that's the new video that Corbin did. And, I realized as soon as I started playing it, that we're still on the screen. Hey, you kids, keep it down. We're trying to sleep. Jim, did you just see Corbin's new video? Welcome aboard, sir. What are you doing? Okay, so we put that up on our the YouTube today. You got me up at 7 a.m. and said, we're doing a video whether you like it or not. That's exactly how he said it to me. Right? It's very talkative today. Okay. Hiya. Okay, so we've got 2 to choose from. There's the FBI one or the husband trying to figure out what he was looking for in the room. So, hey kids, keep it down there. We're trying to sleep. And Malcolm's response is, I live with insomnia. So do you. You never sleep properly. Anyways, Corbin should choose, says Barbara. Do you want to choose? Which one of these would you like? No, not the pencil. The paper. He's looking. He doesn't care. He said he doesn't care. Which one did you smell first? Anything? The other? Top one. He chose the top one. Good choice, I guess. Okay, so Jim says, great video. Oh, see that? There you go, buddy. He said you did a great video. It's a lot of hard work for him. Okay, thank you very much. I told him that you did it. All right, so the next page that we're going to do of these 4. So if you're interested in the whole process and you're joining us late, check back at the start of the video where I talk about the fact that we took the same idea and we broke it down 4 separate ways. And at this point, we're just we're going to execute 1 a day for the next couple of days, including Fun Time Friday. No, maybe not. Okay, so this is the one we did yesterday. It's the one that we posted so far today. And we're just going to keep on with this. Oh, I still got you up there. Oh, and Barbara says, excellent choice, Corbin. Excellent choice. You've got a refined taste. Okay. All right, so let's get cracking. So here's our rough that we came up with. Rough. Anyways, and so we've got a rough structure for the page that we've come up with some key pointing on it and left open these two avenues for further exploration, so we don't feel like we're completely pigeonholed in on one idea. And I find that unless you're working from a script, you should have that liberty. If you're writing and illustrating your own stories, give yourself those openings in order to further things along. So yesterday's page is today that we posted today is our first foray into this. This is the Porter household, and our next foray is the FBI scenario. The FBI investigation. Da 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 da. Okay, so now with our format that we did yesterday, we've got these open panels, closing panels, right? We've got just completely breaking panels over this way. So today we're going to come at it from a slightly different approach. But this one thing that there exists in all these panels is that there's some sort of panel structure. So the first idea for this page is we're going to push that to its limit. So I think that the first thing that we can do is in our first panel image, not worry about the environment at all and just come at it from the perspective over the shoulder of our grandma character with your corn rolls, etc. And we're, again, like yesterday, we're going to put it in really loose. And because what we're really working on here is just getting the structure of our page down. Okay, so we've got Granny in the foreground, and we've got, I changed the height of Granny. Okay, and we've got these big old spooky guys. And one of the fun things that we can do with this is to push the light source. So if we say that it's the bright sunlit day from behind them, what that gives us is a lot of fun backlighting, so that there's a lot of cast shadow on their faces that we're going to get to play with when we get into that stage of the drawing. Why don't I draw this with, I got a red. I think a red will show up better. A pen! I dropped a pen! Are you okay? Okay, so I'll do this. I'll break it down with the red. I think it shows up better. Well, since Gordon's not the focus of attention for the moment, he's decided to go and do someplace else. He's had a busy day of sleeping on my desk. So here we go. We're going to add the grandma character in. Here's the FBI guys. We can push the notion of these are your federal investigator types, because we can do these little cultural signifiers that we know that tend to be always reiterated over and over again in film and television. So I have old Buckaroo here holding up his ID in his hand, okay? But we'll give him their sunglasses. We'll hit that trope as well. And again, we're just roughing it in, so it doesn't have to be. We're not working on a perfect drawing here. We're not working on refined lines. We're rough shaping it. There's an artist that I would, one person who takes this process is Brian Hitch. Now, in Brian Hitch's book, Brian Hitch's Ultimate Comic Studio, when he talks about his process, when he starts his drawing process, and he talks about his various tools that he uses, this is the way he roughs out, is he literally takes, let me see what he says here. He'll take a regular pencil initially, and then he'll take a marker and cut in the different color, like shapes that he wants, and use different colors in order to differentiate the changes for himself. So it's a really loose, really loose approach to breaking down your page ideas. We're, doing pretty similar to that. Of course, his lines are just literal open scribbles. And there's another fine illustrator out there today named Carl Kopinski, British, I believe. And Carl, he's got this sense of scribbling out a figure and then coming in with a brush pen and pulling out all the details. So we get into our routines and our habits, and find yours. All right, so here's the back of Grandma. Here's her shawl, which might help us out, and her hair, and our conceiving of Grandma. And I'll hold that up for you. Okay, so here's our Grandma facing these two, big old spooky, federal agents or men in black or whatever. And we'll do the same thing with this guy. We'll have his hand up. They're coming just for the facts, ma'am. Anyways. So we've got our two guys, established. We've got, our three principal characters are all established in one shot, one panel. We can contextualize it tighter by putting the door frame, by putting a shot of the cornfields or whatever we want behind them. But I think that just focusing on this open panel of these characters just sitting there for a moment is what we're going to start with. Time for a little bit of a tea. That's my favorite way that kids drink like that. I love it. I know it's ridiculous, but when a little kid drinks and they're like, and there's a few things that make me laugh more. At the same time, it's not good for the kids, but it's still funny. Okay, so here's the two feds presenting their identification to Grandma. And we can establish a secondary shot by coming in and having, the one fed trying to peek through the doorway. Are you all alone in here, ma'am? And we can have, her looking at him like, hey, Buster. Actually, let's change the height ratio there. So, here she is being confronted by this young fella who's peeking through her doorway. Now, if we push that angle of the doorway like this, and have the other guy still standing tall, blocking the doorway, it sort of continues this idea of the imposition of these two characters on top of her. We talked yesterday briefly about power dynamics, and this is another example of that. Hi, Miriam. Welcome aboard. Sorry, I missed you joining in with us. Hello. And Chris. Hiya, Chris. Welcome aboard. Okay, so yesterday I was talking about power dynamics. Where you place a character in a scene can oftentimes be fantastic use of power structures from A to B. Now, some people use it as, size is a good variable to show who's tougher than the other. That can work in contexts where there's physical threat. But in general, if you just want to show the imposition of one character's dominance over another, whether whoever's larger or smaller, you can do that by placing like the camera shot or your point of view shot from different angles, lower or higher, or you can, have one character lean over and loom above another one. Because of my height, I try not to loom. I try not to. Sorry, bud. What are you doing? Yeah, come on. Lunatic. I try not to sort of lean over people. I think it's really kind of rude. And so with the way my height is, if I'm talking with somebody and we're a decent size difference, you know what I mean, of where they're less than 6 feet or whatever, I'll always try to sort of step back or make sure that I'm not leaning forward. It's not like I'm going, but it is more like that I'm just giving them a little bit of room. And I have a friend who's 5'1", and he brought it to my attention that I do that, and he appreciated it. And honest to goodness, I didn't know I was doing that before he told me. So it wasn't a conscious action. It was just a sort of, this is, let's be polite. So having this federal agent lean in, yes. Do you want to draw it? Having him lean in and still having the other agent occupying the door frame allows that that idea of enclosure for her, and the fact that they're both still taller. So even when this character leans into this height to look through the doorway, he's still leaning over this lady, and they're pressuring her. Not very nice. So that's our second idea for a breakdown. Now, the decision we can make is, do we put a panel on this one in order to, because we want variety, is what I'm saying. So that's one thing that we can consider. What are we saying? Barbara says, I took a course called Drugs and Human Biology with Dr. Carl Pinsky at the University of MB. I'm guessing this is a different Carl Pinsky. Carl Kapinski. It's a Polish name, but yeah, Kapinski. Chris is going to be in the balcony. Ooh, for some minutes. Laundry time. We'll see you when you get back. Hiya, Janet. To take drugs or to have evolved them? What are you doing? Okay, so here's our second panel idea that we've got here. And I'm just going to switch colors again so that people can see what I'm talking about. Because as I look at the camera, I don't think it's still dark enough. So here's Granny at the door. Here is Fed Agent 1. Here's Fed Agent 2. Put that hand in there. Okay, so there's our two guys in the doorway. And then our first panel that we've got here has got Grandma looking up at them. And this is what I'm talking about by the express power dynamics and composition. So as he's looking in, leaning past, like leaning into her and looking into the side direction going, are you the only one in here today, ma'am? It's inappropriate, but it's, yeah. Okay, so this is the first agent leaning in, and this is the second agent filling the door space. Now everybody can see it. Corbin can climb across me, and we can all get on with everything. It's not helping, guy. Just sit here, okay? Good. Like I said, it's become an attention hog. All right, so there's our door frame. Okay, so we've gone from an open case panel to a closed space panel. Now, one of the things that we can do when we're finishing our pencils off is that we could carry over the elbow of the first gentleman, and we could bring it over to, again, enclose the grandma character by having that, moving this image over just a little bit so that that peeks over that panel. Okay? Let's see, what do we got? Hi, Janet. We've been talking about you and Chris and my stream. Oh, super. Corbin is getting used to be the star from the videos. Yeah. And don't fool yourself. I'm not doing those. That's him. Hey, pretend you don't know how to turn the light on. He thinks it's hilarious. Okay. So here's our next piece of information that we're giving. It's the push the power dynamics towards this person, make them feel enclosed, make them feel imposed upon. And then, move on with the narrative. Like we want to try to just keep on this pressure, like you sort of see established in different narratives, whether it's textual or visual. Okay, so the next panel that we can do is jump back again, and we can have the first agent kind of make his way into the room as though he's sidestepping her, right? Okay, so we'll put him here. And then we can close an action as well by having him. We'll do two things. One is that we'll show his ID hanging down here from how he's shown her. So we've got 3 courses of an action. Course 1 is, FBI, ma'am, and he holds up the wallet, okay? And then after he does this, the second course is that as he's looking through the doorway, his hand is laying down with the ID, and as he steps through the doorway, we can have him putting it in his shirt. And then we'll have Grandma with her shoulder turned and watching this young upstart, not a gentleman, move into her household. And then we'll go back to this same perspective, the same piece of information that we had before with this doorway. Okay, thinking about that. There we go. So by drawing this into this panel and still filling it with this big goon, not only has she got nowhere to go, but this guy just sauntered his way into her house in order to take a gander around the room. Jenna says, I thought you were talking to Christopher. Now he would be a lot more interesting to talk about. I don't know about that. I think Janet's very interesting. I think the FBI dudes and dudettes should be saying, your grandma, what amazing art supplies you have. Oh, much better to draw things with. Anyways, Corbin was seen with Taylor Swift at a curling match. People are talking. Yeah, and the other curling team started playing Corbin's music to upset her fan base. Anyways. There's news all over the various mags at the grocery checkout stand. Hiya, Penny. Welcome aboard. I got a chance to see some of Penny's stream this morning. And if you get a chance, go check that out. It was a lot of fun. When I was in school, we used to make books. And we'd take Stonehenge paper and we'd rip it down. And then we'd stitch it together. And then we'd take a leather binding, stretch it around pieces of cardboard, nice and finished, and then we'd stitch that. Such a crazy process, but I love doing it, and I haven't done it in years, and I got to watch Penny do it this morning. So take a look, take a watch. Okay, so now we've got him moving into the room, and depending on the size and the scale of the panels, I mean, this could be bumped up to twice its height, but I do still want a separation between here and here. And I do want to follow a line of action. So, I mean, honestly, we could put the scale of him to here and just enlarge that a little bit, right? So, because that would give us a sense of movement that, this way, and that's the way he went. He said, he motioned that he was going to, and he did it. So rude. Anyways, so the next thing we could do, there's a couple different directions that we can take this. As of now, we've established it as being kind of a, imposing, scary Men in Black types investigating this this stereotypical poor little grandma. They came to Janet's house. I'll tell you right now, she kicked their butts. Anyways, but here they are. Anybody else here, ma'am? You know. And so they've made their way inside, and we've got a couple different directions that we can go with this when we think about it. We can either have, we continue on this bent of dread and imposing behavior, and have them, follow that bead of action like you often see in films and television, or we could try to take a turn with it. Now, editorially, we've got X amount of space to work with, right? Don't drag me any combos about the feds. Those freaks will show up at my door. I'm not even going to put it up on the screen for you, Janet. So we can do that. We can follow that course of action like you see sort of stereotypically put into these scenes. Or we can use this opportunity to change the tone, because we've followed not just the course of action of the identification, exposed, dropping, put away, right? So now we can say that there's a course of action that's been followed. So let's change directions again. So what we can have is little, a reiteration of this panel, but we'll look at it from, she looks up at the other guy in the doorway. And so where we've had grim and sullen faced guy, up until now, where he's just mean looking, okay? And then now as this guy comes in and says, "Are you the only one that's here, ma'am? Do you mind if we look around?" And she can immediately disarm the other person, maybe, possibly, by looking at this big guy and saying, "You look hungry, dear. Would you like some cookies?" Right? And then we can have him with cookies. Cookies good. And we're playing off of the big dumb guy motif, right? So, so this is where we say, "Would you like cookies?" So we can also, I think I did that wrong. Yeah, I did. So if we do another enclosed panel to get this rhythm going now, moving back to this one, I like balance. And so sometimes when you establish a sort of a symmetrical movement on a page, people notice it and people engage in it, right? So Barbara says, "Jen, I missed you so much." Huh. What's a publicity stunt? What did I miss? I'm always catching up. I'm so sorry, everybody. Corbin was seen at Taylor Swift at a curly match. People are talking, and Miriam says it's a publicity stunt, Jim. There we go. Yeah, nobody's been singing any musical tunes on anything, Barbara. And I like those sort of things. I'm listening to "The Fool Around and Fell in Love." Anyways, okay. So now it's, our big guy has been offered cookies. He is disarmed. He's like, "Oh, cookies, good." And so our tough talking, smaller guy, let's say he's like Steve Buscemi. He's like, "You got anything going on in here, ma'am? Anything we should know about?" And we can turn things around at this point now, where if he's here looking, or actually we could do it this way. This also works. Let's try this out, because we're talking about power dynamics, right? So if we have Grandma with her hand over her shoulder as though she's going, "I'll just be a moment," like this to the young man, and as she's moving towards the kitchen, and she says, "I'll just be a moment with some cookies." Now, she's still lower in the panel, but the image is more prominently on her. We're tighter on her, so technically she's larger, even though she's not. because she's not higher in the sense of the height ratio for power dynamics. Get this out of the way. Okay, so she says, "I'll just be a moment with those cookies, dears." And we can have the one guy, his feet out, hands on his wrist or hands on his hips, looking at the other guy as he's now inside the doorway, with his head down. "Sorry, boss." Has his hands cupped in the front. He knows he's done wrong. "What in the world, cookies? What are you doing? We're trying to be tough guys." Right? "Speaking on behalf of other big dumb guys, I'm offended. I think I'm offended. I don't know. I'm dumb." She's lower because she's easing down to reach for her taser gun. Barbara, aggressive. An interesting idea, though. Okay, so let's populate the space by, we'll put some furnishings in the room. We'll put a nice recliner chair here, or as I call it, an Edith bunker. And we'll have that sitting in by the little table here. We'll have a quaint little rug that goes around it. And we're going to keep this an open spaced panel as well. And so by setting up with the furnishings like so, and we'll put, if we have him walk by a couch here, okay, so that we've established its identified space in the area, like in the room itself, and we'll trail around the carpet shape and with the floorboards. Ooh, snappy, snappy. And we'll leave this as a negative space. But we're still pushing into the room. But when we come over to this shot here, when we've got this curvilinear pattern that's on the floor here from the carpet, and in behind these two crazy kids is where we'll put that couch. Okay? So now we've got these key elements that have jumped across panels. Looks like a lazy boy to me. Only if it's got the arm on the sides, you get, and you get locked back in, your feet kick up in the air, you hit somebody in the behind. It's an awkward thing at a party. Or you kick the key tray out of the tea tray out of somebody's hands. "Oh, I'm sorry," and there's tea all over the floor, and it's 10 minutes of wiping things up. I'm just saying, you got to license those things. Okay, so we've got her saying, "All right, I'll just be a moment getting your teas, young men." And the next panel that we can do is have these guys rushing behind her through the next doorway into the kitchen. Now, we can have them with guns drawn. Why not? Or says, "That mug looks like a mini jacuzzi." This was a whole thing with my family to find a cup that worked for me, and eventually they did. But we went through a whole bunch of different things along the way to get to the right size dad cup. And it even declares itself my size. Anyhow. So we can have these two guys come chasing after her, down the hall. "Ma'am, and we'll have the big one coming up behind them, but we can have him still getting his gun out as they're running up in behind the lady. Okay? And then in the foreground of this shot, we'll put, Granny's hair and her face here, but we can do a couple different things. We can either cast her face with a shadow over it, so we're not entirely sure what her motivations are, or we can just have her looking doodly-doo, looking down like she's just, nonchalant about the entire scenario. That'll work for us. But it sort of plays on this convention. We start with the power dynamics of these two aggressors on top of this, what we initially assumed to be this poor defenseless lady. And, along these conversations, while he's saying, you're by yourself here, ma'am. What is it you're looking for? We don't know what it is, but we'll know it when we see it. Right? And then she can say to this guy, cookies, right? But this is where he can get out the key phrase for the page. So as they chase her into the kitchen, because you can't let the suspect get away with like that, so they come guns blazing. Well, no, they're not blazing, but they're drawing their weapons. And we can have her turn around with a tray of cookies. And so here she is with the tray. And this is where we can, again, turn the dynamic. Okay, so we've got her with her tray of cookies. We've got the two guys, as our first guy, he's got his arm. He's still got his hand on his gun. And it seems, so we're looking at it, as I'm laying it out this way, I've already got, the whole panel conceived for a moment here. And in a second, just for fun, I'll show everybody the video, Corbin's new video again in a second, for those that have joined us late. Okay, just because we're almost halfway through the stream. So here's this guy. And there's the big guy, and he'll have his gun drawn too. Okay. And it's important that we figure out how to draw this so that the guys are, in movement with one another. So we can have the one guy leaning forward like so, and the other guy leaning this way like so that you get a sense of the spacing of these two characters, but you don't want them to become one form, and at the same time, you don't want them to become a connected form. So here's the two guys, and then what we'll do in the background, and here comes the zinger, is, it's a little high, but we'll put the kitchen table. And I had joked about this before with a barn scenario, but why not stay rooted in the scene that we're in? On the table, we will put a big boy. They're pretty sure that she has got a bomb. Well, she sure does. And so we'll draw the different fin blades in perspective as it goes around the bomb. Okay, so as she's offering them a tray of cookies, there's the bomb behind them. It's, Are Fig Newton's cookies? Here's a good question for today. Barbara says, question about the cookies. Are they homemade or store-bought? Well, she's pulling them out of a baking tray from a microwave, so we're going to go with homemade. Could be a boondoggle. She could be placing store-bought cookies on here to pretend like she's a little old granny that cooks things, but she's actually makes nuclear bombs in her kitchen. Are Fig Newton's cookies? Does Christopher think the FBI is going to fall for the old lady cookie trick? Well, initially, I did. Yeah, I'd be the big guy right there. I like cookies. Barbara says, thanks, Jim. I'm trying to understand the character better. Both, says Jim. That's great. Awful cookies, but cookies just the same. I think she should be offering cookies baked by the Keebler Elves. Barbara thinks there's arsenic in the cookies. She's dark. Barbara's dark. Anyways. So, okay, so we've got now this next movement in the panel comes to, here's this big boy on her kitchen table. Okay. And so initially in the sketch, what I had originally planned was these guys driving away with little old Granny in the car, right? That's one way we can do it. Another way that we can do it is, you know, you have the little happy, nice, smiley Granny, and she says, oh, dear. Now, this is where you guys are more than welcome to input a thought on this one. As she's holding the tray, and I want you to think about this as I put the video up, and she's got the tray of cookies in her hand, right? And we'll do another shot of the bomb that's on her table from this change of angle, okay? So, and here's the kitchen table here now. And she gets to say, what? Oh, that's not mine, or, oh, how did that get there? Okay, I'll let you think about that for a second. There's no tough word to say the word cookie. I think you're wrong. I'll show you why. Newton preferences are they're apples, they're not figs. There we go. Okay, so here is the new video that Corbin has made. Ready, bud? All right, there you go. I missed Penny said goodbye. Bye, Penny. Penny's going to go and do her stream she had scheduled for today. She's got a big project planned with people. Barbara's got an idea. She says, sorry, lads, these cookies I'm setting aside for Santa Claus. Okay, but how does that apply to the bomb? We're trying to, do we have a line for the bomb? I like that line for the cookies. She could say that here. Now I was setting these cookies aside from Santa. So put Santa there as they're running up on her saying, ma'am, right? Okay. Chris says, Corbin is the boss. You're the boss, pal. Yeah, I know. You walked us to 7 doors going to work in the Disney movies. Yeah, that was our walk. We were strutting our stuff. That was a strut. Hi-ho! And Corbin went, hi-ho, because he's got a really deep voice when he's not in camera. Barbara says it has no relationship to your story. You're going that way. See you later, pal. So I, you know, now I've been saving these cookies for Santa as a fun line. We can include that. We still need a picture of your close-up expression. Which one? Where I'm drawing? We got a whole video we're doing of Chris hard at work. You know. So I'm having fun doing videos. It's problematic. So, you know, it's really easy once you figure it out. You just sort of, as soon as you got an idea for it, I was cutting like crazy for that video, and editing like crazy. It's 3 pieces of video that I chopped into different assemblies and different sizes, and I'd make them bigger and smaller in the shots, and it was fun. Oh, that's great, Barbara. That's going in. That's going in. Okay. How about just that? These cookies are the bomb. There we are. That's great. Okay, so this, and I mentioned this before. I can go about doing this two ways. Now, what I've got here to show you is this is a light table. Now it's a big one. This light table is 12 by 18 inches. Whoa. What are you over? You're pretty accommodating there, Chris. It's a big old light table. I'm not saying. I'm just saying. All right. So the reason it is so big is because when I'm working on pages for book projects, they're 11 by 17. Okay. So what we can do with our page, I talked about this yesterday. I've got a blank piece of paper, and I've got the page that we just worked stuff out on. Okay. And so rather than, if you can find a light source, or if you can find, Barbara says that screen's so large, it's like being at the drive-in. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Get some tasty treats. Okay, so one of the things that we can do for ourselves is, if we have the opportunity to use something like a light table, I'm bringing the light out. I brought the light up piece by piece because I want the camera light to get used to it, or I want the camera to get used to the light. So there we go. See? Nice transition. I'm not flashing anything out. Now, with this, we've now got our rough breakdown laid out for us. This gives us a couple of different opportunities. One is we can trace out loosely this light panel, or we can just draw the finished image over top of it. And then, because we already know we want to do this idea of shifting this over, once we draw this down, we can just shift the page and then use our layout that's underneath it in the proper space. So another thing I suggest people do is to switch the color that they're using when they're working from one layer to the next, just because it does help you to more clearly see what it is that you're working on. But I'm a complicated man, ladies and gentlemen. That's why my friends call me Whiskers. And as a complicated cat, I'm just going to draw in ink. We got a few more minutes left here, so let's do this. Look at what I've been doing. Who are you? You're too small. So we moved things around in our house. I talked about this in a video a couple days ago. We moved our house all around, and we've now completely got our house set up, so that we can live fully in our house now that we're not, the kids aren't all home. We don't have to have a room on the second floor. So we've moved our room back up to the main floor and painted and all the bedrooms this week, and I shampoo backed all the carpets, and then we moved all the furniture this week. So now my studio space, I'm going to do a video of the studio now, because now my studio space is just studio. There's no TV in here anymore. So it's decadent. Okay. So there's I want to do nice little granny, and with the permanent hair, with like the stereotypical 50s, 60s granny, not person in their 50s, 60s, because come on. But so we're going to do that. We're going to do what everybody's moms looked like back in the day. All right, so we're going to give her that little bit of hair in the back. And so because I've roughed my pencils in, I'm just going to throw down some ink marks. And I'm trying to do each of these different pages with a slightly different twist to them. So this one is the last pen I inked over the pencils with a Fudenosuke pen. This page, we're taking our rough pencils and we're just going to build up our drawing in a really fine point technical drawing pen called Le Pen. That's French. All right. So we're going to get set up on the ability to live stream, to live broadcast. Not this weekend, but the following Sunday on the 12th is when I'll be doing a talk live in an art gallery about what we're doing here on a regular basis. And but I'll be doing it very close to how I executed a page yesterday by just saying, let's break down 4 different ways to do it. And let's, I'm dramatically lit right now. And I come to the bingo hall, Larry. In my head, I'm thinking of the granny from Sylvester and Tweety. You tell him, Granny. So we're going to get her shawl in here. And let's not forget the little weave ends. So whatever there's 2 ways you can do this. You can go about with photo source, work from reference, or just try to remember what your grandma looked like in a shawl, or what your mom looked like in her shawl back in the day. I was doing a project just yesterday, and the person's described in the shot has to go like this, like he's putting together he's like, this is the way it's going to go right here. I can see it now. He's trying to direct the scene, and it's the action's going to go right through his movie directing moment. But as the director's going, I can see the shot right here. And I said to the person, as we're talking about these panels, I said, well, you mean like Burton Cummings? What? Who? Burton Cummings, sweet. And he had no idea what I was talking about. As I'm referencing an album cover of Burton. Not us, of course. No, we all don't look like Granny from Sylvester and Tweety. Jim says, tell us more about that gallery talk. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I've got at the end of the last video that Corbin did of, it's not the one where he shushes me. It's the one where, or maybe it is. Maybe it's the one where he tells me not to tell jokes. But we've got the video up for it. There's an Eventbrite. I've got links that have been posted already about it. And on my website, if you go right to the main page, you can click on the Eventbrite listing and find out about that you'll be going. And, you might not physically be able to go, but it also accounts for, I'll be watching the stream of it. So it's part of Words Festival. It's a week-long event here in the city, and it's on the last day of the week-long event, where it's all about writers, and it's all about storytelling and creativity, and keeping creativity going, just and working despite whatever adversity and challenges are going on. And all these different parts of it are being talked about through people's different sessions. And so, clearly mine's related to creativity in your daily life, and dealing with the difficulty that there's this right there. Kooky. No, I'm not kooky. But so it'll be fun. I think it'll be enjoyable, and I'll be doing the same sort of thing that I do here. I'll just be doing it in person. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So it'll be fun. So I'm using Le Pen in order to find these lines that are in her form and in her dress. And so I've taken my rough that I put down on our pencil page here, and because I'm holding this clean sheet over top of it, I am now just putting some cleaned up lines in there. Now, I realize, and I'm sorry, that is kind of a jump step from really loose to really tight, but yesterday's stream shows going from really loose to just a rough pencil. And I don't show the inking part of it. But this one is trying a different approach. And we're using, again, a different kind of pen here. So we're also going to put an apron on Granny. Can't forget that. So one of the things that you can do when you're working with the technical drawing pen, one of the fun ways that we can differentiate one form from the next is Winsor McCay would do this. And if you're not familiar with Winsor McCay, please go look him up because he's responsible for creating a big part of the sequential storytelling industry. But he would do this. He would differentiate this form from that form, this character from this, from these characters, by giving a kind of a halo to the figures in order to separate the planes. So that's what I'm playing at right here. So we'll try to get some representation of the side of her apron as it bends around her hip. A cookie making hip. Crazy cat's down there yelling at me. Okay, so, and then we're just putting in the lines for her form. What am I missing? That sounds awesome, Chris. Congratulations. Hey, thanks, Jim. Holy camole, I'm back. I took a shower, changed into my pajamas again. I'm working in bed. Won't go out until tomorrow. I have class again. There you go, Chris. That's the way to do it. That's the way you do it. Okay, so while we're drawing Grandma from her back here, or as we used to say in the old country, her behind. Behind her, Jim. Anyways, so we're going to allow us some of the folds to denote some of her form. By having a line that most of our distension lines fall from, it sort of establishes that the object above said line is of a more fuller volume. So that's why you'll see when you see clothing drape, like over the shoulder, it follows the contour of the shoulder and falls down. Now it can cascade along the arm because the arm isn't as raised up as this is. So the bunching that you see, the tightening that you see here becomes bunching down below. That's crazy, Chris. Hey, you think that's crazy? Watch this. Anyways. Okay, so we've got, I'm going to put the back of her day dress there, and then there's a nice little granny at the door, and then we'll draw our federal agents. Draw these mean old bullies. Right, Corbin? Yeah, Corbin's back. Thanks so much, Christopher. Take care. Oh, bye. Hey, thanks for coming out, Barbara. It's very nice of you. Chris is going to try to finish the Jack Skellington figure. That's going to be great. I'm looking forward to I've watched your progress on that. That's really cool. But enjoy your day again, Chris. That's so nice. Yeah. I hope you do. And did you guys, it's Thursday. Did I miss your stream? Did I miss the stream already? For some reason I had in my head it was later. And if it is later, everybody go and watch Chris and Miriam do a stream together. And yeah, I'm just, my schedule's off today. I'm sorry. So I'm thinking about how the fingers are going to hold the card. How are the fingers going to curl around the card, and how is it we're going to hold the thing? So that's why I'm drawing this little distension in the fingers. And I can try to hold it up, but I don't know how I'm going to see it because you can't see half the paper through the other sheet. And then, of course, the old Thumbarooski is down there on the bottom. So, and we know for a fact that we're going to draw the other half of the wallet drooping down. And we know for a fact that it's being held and squeezed between the fingers. So it's just this, so it's just this tightened line. The palm would come back here. So we're thinking about that and how it sits in the space. And then we're going to do collar line, or the cuff, I guess it is, yeah. And then we'll move into the shapes of the arm. Chris says it was before the stream here, but replays are always welcome. Okay, so everybody go and check out, I think it's on Chris's channel, Miriam and Chris getting together and doing some work. So I'm looking forward to that. Go check that out later on today, right after. Well, not right after this. I gotta go and hang a bunch of things on the wall. We had to figure out where those things were going to go first. So I'm drawing in his shoulder. Now, these little things here, like folds in the arm that I'm drawing in now, is, again, if it helps you to look at reference for those, please do so. There are people that say, man, I don't look at reference. Great. Everybody's different. If you find that looking at reference helps you with your drawing, look at reference. No, there's nothing wrong with that. So even though this is going to be black suits on these guys, I'm still drawing in their kit and caboodle here. And the reason for that is that rather than just using a flat black on this, we can use a charcoal gray, something like that. I'm not sure if I'm going to do what I did earlier today. I put a flat base color on today's page for the post, but it's fully colored for that. It'll go up on Patreon as a fully colored page. But the first way I put it out was as a flat colored image, just because I'm experimenting with something else right now with the 4 different interpretations of the same idea, is that I'm reducing them down to an emotional note based in color. So all right, so there's our first guy with his wallet, and here we get his collar. Boring old black tie, which I kind of like. Went through my ties the other day, and I'm a striped tie man. That's what I found out. It's on Chris's channel. Excellent. Yeah, so everybody please go check out Chris's channel. Put a little curl in this, and So I'm just doing these little lines the way you see here on certain parts of the form. I know that that's going to be black, but I'm not going to color it in with this small of pen. So okay, so here's our first guy. Little billow folds in the knees. So here's our second character that's, in this loose and open frame format. So without all that illumination behind it, if we, as you see the image now, we've got our finished drawing for a panel pretty much ready to go. You've already got this whole composition in your head. You've roughed it out with the pencil. You're roughing it out with a drawing pen. And there's two spaces that you can have on this. One, you can be like, oh, I don't know, I think I got to tighten up the pencils on it. And power to you. If you feel that's good for you to do, then do so. But or you just go for it. So we're going to give him the raised pinky. He's a refined FBI wallet opener. It's, just trying to differentiate the two ways that these guys hold on to their wallets with their hands. And I've also done the righty-lefty. So I'm also going to do this, where his wallet is opening the opposite way. And he's holding his wallet in reverse to how the other guy's holding it. Now we could have had it inverted and having this fold part drop in, but it's righty-lefty. They're both doing the same things with the same objects. They're just doing it from a different side of their body. So there's no, it's not like a symmetrical balance thing where you've got to have everything in the opposite direction of the other one. So, yeah, like they does. So we've got his cuff on there for his jacket. And notice that I've been editing as I go and raised his elbow up substantially from where I roughed it in. Just tightening that image up a little bit. So, now that we're getting some of these details and some of these pieces of information, and we can come back into a quick drawing and put in a few little different marks, to give a little bit more interesting bits of information. It's fun. It's fun to sort of walk around a composition and to play with different ideas, to play with different approaches, to play with different types of mark making. A lot of people will draw in this style, and because you'll start to see similarity in hash marks and thick lines and thin lines and stuff like that, there's an immediate thing about somebody's brain will automatically cue up another artist that works in that style. Like, the last time I drew with a drawing pen like this, somebody had said, oh, it reminds me of Crumb. And, while I don't really draw like Crumb, although, Crumb's definitely got his cool aesthetic, but it's the tool that sort of makes a similarity happen. I could also say that this feels very similar to Rick Geary, and Robert Crumb is somebody that more people know who they are, especially if you're of the age of hippie head culture. But Rick Geary is somebody who I look at as being far more proficient in that department. So he did adaptations of the Adventures of Adele Blanchet, who is sort of like a female Sherlock Holmes from the same era, but her being a woman in that world has all of its interesting differences in the story. So, and it's written 20, 30 years ago. So it's not, a lot of the times where these female protagonists are being written today, they're, I don't get it. It's the lesson before it is the identity for these characters. You can't make a character by having them, them defined by rhetoric. You got to make a character by defining them by their characteristics and their actions. Well, Adele Blanchet's a fantastic example of that for the female detective, just like Ripley is for the last person standing in a scary movie thing. So those are good examinations of female protagonists then. So we've got his shirt hanging here, and then we're going to put his belt in. And then, of course, as we're drawing this guy, now I've got these silly marks that you're seeing me make now. It's the billowing of the shirt at the bottom, the fabric. Like, my weird angle makes me look much bigger than I am, but it's a lot of the fabric billows here because of I'm sitting at a bad angle, let's be honest. And when we stand with our dress shirts, it does that. If you've got it tucked in your belt, it'll bunch up and under. And it's whether you've got some girth there or not. So that's why you'll always see people at events tucking their shirt back in. It just naturally billows. That's what it does. So this is a belt loop I'm drawing in. So it's those little things you think about, right? Just separation between the two legs and the pants, but not drawing in all the details on the pants because we know we're going to do it in a really deep color. And slightly darker than the color of the jackets, maybe. We'll see. We'll figure that out. So we've got, let me draw. Now, I haven't figured out what the guys look like. I probably should. In this case, I'm not overly worried about being fastidious about perfectly shaped corners. Like, if I've got a little bit of ticking over, I'll just erase that once I've scanned it and put it into Photoshop. So, okay, so the one thing I had mentioned, I had talked about, and I'll draw their faces in a moment, but we'll see. I only got 5 minutes. So this idea here with this next panel, in order to show just the fact that they're here and they're not waiting for responses, they know what they're there for, and they know where she sits in that equation. So having the panel step over the next panel and, get into her space allows us to exemplify that, they're aware of what's going on. They're just trying to get in there so that they can make their arrest. So then what I need to decide is, am I going to have this panel higher than the one beside it? I think yes, but not very high. And the reason for that is that I think what I'm going to do is have the title run along the top of the page. So we shall see. We shall see. Now I'm only going to line. No, I think I'll just line the whole thing. No, I'm going to have Grandma step in on this one. So the nice thing about this ruler is, because the thing is entirely squared off, it just lets me run the ruler along the side of the paper, and my line is square that I'm about to put down. And that's kind of cool. Okay, so here we go. We've got these two characters laid in, and we got to get their grim visage down. So we got our first guy in here. Oh, I was going to put sunglasses on them, wasn't I? Let's do that. Sunglasses are better. Thank you for reminding me, everybody. So here's our first guy. All right, am I missing anything? Nope, we're doing okay. All right, so there's our first agent, and draw our second agent. So part of doing things this way, I wanted to show you with the first 4 images generated on the piece of paper. Part of what goes through my head is I'm immediately trying to conceive something, and I just let my thoughts dance around and consider various avenues for, story direction, types of story, what might I be inspired by today, pumpkin spice tea. How do I fit that in? Like just all these little factors. Or, what is my head referring to immediately? So when I think about these things, I quickly try to generate, the rough idea in my head. Turn that off. The rough idea in my head. And so by doing that and making 4 options as quick as I can, and then picking which one to explore, those sorts of basis of decision making usually is going through my mind and being processed while I'm doing my first panel. And depending on which of those things that I pick out of the Rolodex immediately, and how I'm drawing that first panel, sort of takes wherever the story goes from there on in. Hiya, Paul Pate. How you doing today, sir? So that's why when we did this, taking the same expression and going 4 ways, and doing this one first, the one I posted today, and now doing this second one in a slightly different style in order to execute. So we've executed this one now, and now we're in the process of executing this one. So, by the end of the week, there's 4 different iterations of the same suggested expression. And just so that we can have an example of that, how you can, there are many different ways you can take a thing. So there's our first panel. There's the start of and the start of our frame for our second panel for where we're going to be going with this narrative that we've already laid out in rough in pencil on here. And we're using our late table to get down to it. So Paul says, Men in Black. Oh, where's a Bessie? Pardon me. I apologize. That's rude. Not really, but yeah, I guess it's Men in Black, but not any specific Men in Black. Chris says light boxes are useful. Yes, they can be. This is, I had the same light box for 27 years, and it was this small, 10 by 11 type of thing, and well, I guess it would be 11 by 11, I think it was, and because it wasn't quite a foot, but it had a triangular, it had a slight angle to it, like it raised, the end here was raised from the bottom. And this thing just had a simple light bulb in it. It was a very small shape to work on. And an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper never really properly fit on it. But I used that thing as a light table for 20 some odd years. And then I picked this up last year. This is huge, 30 by 41 centimeters, and it's flat as can be. Like I can't get over how flat it is, and it's really helpful. It's really handy, and if you're able to utilize something like that, like a light table for transferring your images, maybe that'll help with confidence for people for the images that they're working up. And we have paint. Miriam says, how lovely your daughter in her costume, Paul. I'm really behind on checking out everybody's feeds this weekend. I'm sorry for that. I hope everybody that did do Halloween had a good Halloween. And parents don't eat all the kids' candies. Okay, so at this point, I'm just going to get this page finished for tomorrow. But I'm going to have to put it away for now and work on it for an hour or so tonight. I'll be around tonight. I might, anybody's doing stuff tonight, I might chop in and say hi. But in the interim, I got to finish something that I've been working on since this morning. It's over there. How does this work? Over there. And I got to hang all the pictures in the house from us having renovated. So, but thank you very much, everybody, for coming out and joining in. I hope that people are finding this process of interpreting the same idea a couple of different ways beneficial or interesting, at least. And, I hope that you guys have tried some of this, thought about an idea, and try to scribble out some rough images in order to denote the direction of a story before you actually sit down and work on a story. And that way you can break down shapes and look at finishes and how you're going to do panels. And, you know, you'll come up with some fun solutions like, you know, open versus closed and the symmetry at the top of the page. And then, you know, the foundational balance aspect of 3 panels that are wide across. What I mean by that is that it's firm and solid, whereas this is like a wavering shape. And so this sitting on top of that gives a sense of cohesion now, because you've got this solid line that moves all the way across there. There's so many different things that, you know, you try to look at and figure out how that applies. Chris says, thanks. We'll see you around tomorrow. Bye. Bye, Chris. Thanks for coming out. Enjoy your day off. Enjoy your day in your pajamas. Paul says, I dressed up as a miniature Christopher Runciman for Halloween. Oh, my goodness. And you didn't get arrested? All right. Well, I hope everybody had a good day. And I hope some of these approaches that we're taking to things are helping. If anybody has any thoughts or questions or suggestions you want to make, feel free to put it in the comments for the video. Comments always help. Don't forget the thumbs up and all that jazz. And yeah, we'll be back tomorrow at 2. I'll have this page posted, and we'll take one more look at this before all 4 of them will have been posted. Well, because one I'm going to just post on Saturday, so we'll finish our talk tomorrow. But try this out. Try this process out of taking a notion and then trying to work it up from different approaches. Play with the shapes and sizes of panels and images, inside and out, you know. Oh my gosh. I don't know what's come over me. I'm so sorry. I'm not even tired. I don't feel tired, but I'm yawning like a goofball. Try this out, though. Try out this approach and try to see what you can make of it, and see if that helps you with approaching, you know, drawing sequentially. Or maybe if you do already, it might help you tone up some story or whatever it is. But it lets you really think through your application. And I like that. That sort of thing's fun to me. So that's Miriam says bye. Paul says good to see you. Bye. Good to see you too, Paul. Thanks very much, everybody, for coming out. And those of you that Miriam, fixing our bigger mistake is a suggestion. Okay. Yeah. All right. I'll put that in the book. Thanks, Miriam. Okay. All right, everybody. Bye for now. I'll see you tomorrow at 2 o'clock. Have a great day. Bye.